Square Enix is hindered by PlayStation exclusivity and Xbox sales are up in 2022. When it comes to Square Enix and Xbox, the relationship between the two companies to me seems very, very weird, as we have some games that make their way out onto Xbox and a lot of games that come from Square Enix that make their way out onto Xbox Game Pass. You remember back in 2019, Phil Spencer came out and said all of the Final Fantasy games were coming to Xbox, and lots came to Xbox Game Pass. And then we see things like Final Fantasy VII Remake just completely missing the platform. We also see something just recently with the Final Fantasy Pixel remasters not coming onto Xbox. And for me, this is just a really weird thing that is going on, because these games, like the Pixel remaster, are also releasing on the Nintendo Switch. They aren't just console exclusive to PlayStation. So why on earth are they skipping out on Xbox? The question I've always asked when these things happen, because you see other games that do make their way out onto the Xbox platform, other games that come on to Game Pass, like Octopath Traveler, you have the Dragon Quest series that makes its way onto Game Pass. Lots of Final Fantasy games made their way onto the service as well. But when it comes to Xbox and Square Enix, again, like I said, it's a very odd relationship that is going on. And they have a much better relationship with PlayStation, as we've seen with a lot of the console exclusivity stuff with Final Fantasy VII Remake, Final Fantasy 16, and all these other games not skipping that platform. But you have to ask yourself, specifically when it comes to a game like the Pixel remaster, why wouldn't Square Enix want to put these games on every single platform? These are mainstream JRPGs that are going to sell well no matter where they are. Xbox gamers are going to pick up the Pixel remaster if it releases on the console, and you would think by taking this game, putting it out everywhere right at launch, they would make more money than the amount of money that Sony is willing to pay them. But one thing's for sure, keeping games like Final Fantasy off of Xbox on day one in the Western world, to me, seems like a pretty bad idea, especially this generation with how well Xbox is selling with over 20 million units. And that is something I think in the long run, based off of what we're about to read here, may change with how Square Enix is trying to go about their upcoming strategy. So when it comes to Square Enix, they have put out a letter recently talking about how they want to make a one Square Enix platform where they're going to be releasing their games globally all at the same time. But when you're doing something like this, when you have exclusivity to just a particular platform that in the West, in North America, even in Europe, isn't the only platform out there that has a large user base, that is going to be something that is hard to achieve if you are still taking part in these large exclusivity deals. We know Square Enix and PlayStation have tons of exclusivity deals, and they've been working together for a very long time. And Sony's continued to grow. Square Enix continues to grow. The cost to make the games from Square Enix continue to increase. They're going to have to continue to make these exclusivity deals if they want to go that way. That will cost more and more money for the platforms in order to secure those games on to their devices. And Yosuke Masuda outlines his plan to unify the company's publishing units across all geographies, which would mean that the PlayStation exclusivity, if this is something that they want to do, they want to have more worldwide reach, where on day one, when they release a game, as many people are jumping in and playing the game as possible. PlayStation exclusivity is going to hurt that, because they're going to be missing out on a large chunk of users. So we'll see going forward if Square Enix is going to continue with these deals. Like we know right now, Final Fantasy 16 is, I think, at least a 6-month PlayStation 5 exclusive, and then maybe after that it's going to release on other platforms. But I still think there's some weird stuff going on with the deals and with Square Enix and Sony, and particularly making sure that a lot of these games don't end up on the Xbox platform. Like I said, think about that Pixel remaster game. Why does it come out on the Nintendo Switch and the PlayStation, but does not come out on Xbox? It doesn't even have to do with console exclusivity there. They just simply didn't want to put it on the Xbox platform for one reason or another. And I would guess it's in some sort of contractual agreement with the platforms, either PlayStation or Nintendo, saying can't put it on that platform, which again, they compete against each other. I'm not sure what would be going on there, but at the end of the day, we'll see what happens if Square Enix is going to change. I know they want to go down with that NFT stuff, and they're really pushing that forward. A company that is very odd in some of the decisions that they make, but they still make great games. They obviously aren't always the best games, every single one that they release. I mean, you think of Babylon's Fall, you think of Balan Wonderworld, which both games had terrible receptions. But Final Fantasy 16 in particular coming out looks just incredible, and it's a shame that Xbox users aren't going to be able to play this game day one, on their Xbox console. All right, let's talk about sales of the Xbox Series X and S. 2022 was another great year, no matter what happened with their first party stuff, no matter how angry people were that there was not a big first party release. The sales of the Xbox Series X and S are still doing very well. The growth of the platform, as all the numbers that we have seen from the financials that they release publicly, have been doing very good. And we have some more information here on the overall growth of the Xbox Series X and S in terms of console sales from 2021 to 2022. So this comes via VG Charts, and VG Charts, in my opinion, throughout the last couple of years has really improved their overall reputation to actually rely on these numbers. I mean, they are estimates. They do pull from multiple resources to get these numbers, but they definitely have improved in terms of being more accurate to what the actual numbers are. Now let's take a look here at the year-to-date sales comparison. The Xbox Series X and S. 2020 sold about 2.2 million. 2021 sold 6.9 million. And in 2022, 9.4 million, which makes the Xbox Series X and S have a 36.4% increase, which is better than the PlayStation 5 and obviously better than the Nintendo Switch. But the Nintendo Switch, even though they are in a decrease in console sales, they've been out since 2017, and that decrease, they're still selling 17 million units in 2022. So it's just an absolutely crazy successful console. Take a look at the overall market share from 2021 to 2022. The Series X and S went from 17% to 24%, and the PlayStation 5 went from 28% to 30%. Now, there's a lot of things you could come to the conclusion of as to why these numbers are the way that they are. For example, stock plays a big role. We know in 2021 there was a lot less stock, or it was much harder to get these consoles. Now, as we exited 2022 going into 2023, it is a lot easier to get these consoles. You can go online. You don't always have to be the first person to click the link, and you should be able to find a PlayStation 5 or an Xbox. And even stores have some of these consoles in stock when you walk in. So that's a big reason as to why the amount of console sales have increased year over year. But the increase in sales year over year between the Xbox and the PlayStation 5 from 2021 to 2022 is much bigger with the Xbox Series X and S. And this is from a console that everybody was ragging on for not having that big first party exclusive release from all of their studios. And like I said, I agree that they deserve that criticism for dropping the ball in 2022 by not releasing that big first party game. But there was still so much to play. Xbox Game Pass really is shining as that value that brings in the consumer, that even when they don't have that big first party game, people still want to pick up and still play the console because the service is that good. And if you look at 2022, Game Pass itself, even without the big first party game, had credible games that kept you occupied throughout the entire year. And this is telling going forward as to what is going to happen, especially as more games come out. If you take a look at that slate of 2023 games that we've talked about over the last couple of days that are going to be released in 2023, that's going to bring in a lot more people going out and buying the console even now, early on in 2023. If the Activision Blizzard deal goes through and they're able to get games like Diablo and Call of Duty on the service, that's going to have a huge boom in the console sales. 2023 is going to be very interesting to see if this percentage increase is going to be surpassed or at least around in the same amount. I can't wait to see how many console sales the Series X and S do sell because of Game Pass and the games that do release. If they can do as good as they did in 2022 without that big hitter from a first party studio, imagine what they're going to be able to do in 2023 when they have multiple big games come out. And console sales aren't even the main focus of Xbox. The subscription to Game Pass and playing wherever you want is the main focus. And the fact that they are still successful with their console sales is really boding well for the platform. And it's going to be a very good generation that has been good for the first 2 years already for Xbox going forward. But that's it for me, guys. What are your thoughts on this? What do you think about Square Enix and PlayStation, their exclusivity, and that potentially hindering the company? What do you think about the Xbox Series X and S sales in 2022 compared to 2021? If you enjoyed this video, make sure to hit that thumbs up button. If you're new here, you liked what you saw, consider hitting that subscribe button. Thank you all for watching. Thank you for your support, and I'll catch you in the next video. Bye.